Cathedral Island, Ostrow Tumski in Polish, this is historically the oldest part of Wrocław, visited by thousands of tourists every year. What to see on Cathedral Island, where does the name come from, what political significance did the island have, and when is the best time to visit? Learn all about it in the episode dedicated to Cathedral Island. Cathedral Island was likely established before the 10th century, but the year 1000, when the Roman Catholic bishopric in Wrocław was founded, is seen as the beginning. Cathedral Island used to be an island, once connected to the city by two bridges. Today's Tumski Bridge, which links it to Piast Island, and another bridge located behind the cathedral. The picturesque steel riveted Tumski Bridge we can see today was built in 1889. For centuries, wooden bridges stood there. They linked the city, ruled by secular authorities, with the island when the church governed, something like a miniature Vatican. Until 1810, Wrocław officials had no right to pursue criminals onto the island, so any villain could hide here, as it was under exclusive ecclesiastical jurisdiction. Even the Duke had to remove his cap when crossing the bridge onto Cathedral Island, as a gesture of humility, because Terra Sancta, holy ground, demanded respect. Wrocław was site of stronghold of the first Piast, one of the oldest dynasties in Europe, making it the political and military center of the area. Let me explain from the beginning. The name Piast comes from the name of the presumed founder of the dynasty, Piast himself. The first known ruler from this line was Mieszko I, the guy from the 10 Polish złotych banknote. The Piast occupied the Polish throne from around 960, although the international recognition as a dynasty came after Mieszko's first baptism in 966. The Piast dynasty has a very turbulent and fascinating story. It could easily be turned into a great TV series like Game of Thrones, but more realistic. In 1138, Poland was divided into duchies according to the testament of Bolesław the Vermouth. Silesia, with Wrocław as its capital, was granted to Władysław II the Exile, the eldest son of Bolesław. He also received the seigniorate province, including Kraków, Gniezno and Gdańsk. However, as his name suggests, he was expelled from the country together with his close family, and only his eldest son, Bolesław I the Tall, returned to the Duchy of Silesia. In the 12th century, he built an octagonal brick residential tower on Cathedral Island. It was one of the first brick buildings in the country and one of the largest towers in Europe at the time. The remains of this structure, along with the model of the whole castle, can be visited in the underground ruins. The Piast Seal Museum is located at the back of the present-day convent house of the School Sisters of Notre Dame at St. Martin Street 12. This place is steeped in history and should definitely be on the must-see list when visiting Cathedral Island. The tickets cost 20 Polish złotych. In the summer, it's also worth sitting down here for a coffee and a delicious piece of cake in the beautiful garden. Anyway, now let's go back to the Piast dynasty and the three Hendriks who lived in the castle. Hendrik I the Bearded, son of the Bolesław the Tall, married Jadwiga of Silesia, a saint of the Catholic Church. She was known for walking barefoot, living a humble life and helping the sick and poor. She is a very known figure in Wrocław and was buried in Trzebnica, 25 km from the city. Their son, Henryk II the Pious, was so close to uniting the Polish state and becoming king, but he died in the battle against the Mongols at Legnica in 1241. It was thanks to his 6 toes that his handless, naked body was identified on the battlefield. Anyway, in the winter of 1241, facing the Mongol invasion, the townspeople abandoned the city in panic. For strategic reasons, Henryk II the Pious ordered the city to be burned down. Except the castle, the city's goods and food supplies were taken there. Then there was Henryk III Probus, who almost became a king of Poland, but he was poisoned in the castle. His sarcophagus can now be seen at the National Museum. A visible reminder of the castle today is St. Martin's Church, built around 1288. You can see it in the entrance of the Sisters of Notre Dame property. Between 1921 and 1939, when Wrocław was called Breslau and belonged to Germany, the church served the Polish community in the city with services held in Polish. Anyway, in 1315, the island was sold and became church property. The ruling Piast dynasty moved to the left bank of the Oder, where they built a new castle known as Imperial Castle. It stood on the site of what is now the University of Wrocław. The only surviving fragment is the sacristy of the University Church of the Holy Name of Jesus, the red building you can see in the photo. The old castle on Cathedral Island, by then obsolete and falling into ruin, was finally demolished around 15th and 16th centuries. Now, believe it or not, but there are 6 churches on the Cathedral Island. St. Martin's Church, already mentioned, Church of St. Peter and St. Paul, right next to Tumski Bridge, St. Gilles Church from 1240, the oldest fully preserved church building in the city, where Mass is still celebrated, Lower Church of St. Bartholomew, and Upper Church of the Holy Cross, and Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. The Collegiate Church was founded by Duke Hendrik Probus as a gesture of thanks after a long dispute with Bishop Tomasz II of Wrocław, which ended in 1287. This is a 2-level church built this way after a root shaped like a cross was found during the construction of the church dedicated to St. Bartholomew's. The discovery led to combining both dedications in one building. A collegiate church is not a cathedral, but it has a group of canons, clergy with special privileges. They often advise on official matters and sometimes help choose the bishop. In the 16th century, 245 priests lived on Cathedral Island, including 57 canons from the cathedral and from the Collegiate Church of the Holy Cross. No wonder the Cathedral Island was called the City of Priests. The number may be exaggerated a bit, since some of the canons has no right of residence or actually lived elsewhere, like Nicolaus Copernicus, the creator of the heliocentric theory, who belonged to this collegiate church from 1503 and for 36 years received a salary for this position. However, he probably had never been to Wrocław. Now, Cathedral Island, in Polish Ostrow Tumski, originates from the combination of Old Polish Ostrów, island, and German Tum, house or church. The name therefore indicates that it was an island with an important sacred building, the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, which still stands here today. Ostrow Tumski is not an island anymore. The demolition of the city walls in Wrocław, including those surrounding Cathedral Island, began after the city capitulation in between 1807 and 1838. At the time, Wrocław was captured by Napoleonic troops. The debris was thrown into the Oder River and covered it. A reminder of the river you can find as a pond in the botanical garden. And on the side of the bridge behind the cathedral, there now stands a hotel called The Bridge. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you find this or any other video useful and it saves you some time and money, please consider supporting my channel by buying me a coffee through the Buy Coffee portal, link below. See you soon!